Hello guys, so in this video we are going to learn how to create an EC2 instance. So I'm just going to do a short and quick walkthrough on how to set up an EC2 instance up and running. I'm not going to take in consideration the best practices, the security best practices from AWS, and I'm not going to do any networking. So I'm going to use the default networking that is set up there. I'll launch an EC2 instance probably in a public subnet, and then I'm going to assign it a public IP address, and we'll log into that instance using EC2 Connect, and we'll run some commands and look at how the file system is structured inside the EC2 instance. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my browser here, and hopefully I'm already logged into my AWS account. Hopefully I already logged into your AWS account. So on the dashboard, on the home console, these are recent activities or recent resources that I visited. That's why you see them here. I can click on EC2 instance, or you can just go here and search EC2. If you don't see EC2 on your home console, and you click on EC2 here like that, and then it will take you to your EC2 console. Okay, let's wait while this thing loads. So yeah, my EC2 console is loaded. So while in the dashboard you see some kind of quick information, and you see the number of running instances. These are the instances that are actually running, active and running your account. These are instances in your account, including both those that are running or those you stopped. These are replacement groups volumes that are used by your instances, dedicated hosts. You have elastic IPs, load balancers. We'll talk about all of these later. Security groups. Security groups are used as a firewall to protect instances and resources inside the VPC. So security rules are placed at the resource level. Yeah, so I'm going to go to you can go to running instances, or you can come to the left console. On the left of the console, I click on instances. So I click on instances, and if I open my EC2 and look at instances, you see that there are no instances here. I can click on launch instance, or I can come here on this orange button up here and click on launch instance. So let's just go back. I want to talk on some things inside this EC2 instance. So if you look at let's click on launch instance. We'll come back and talk about that. There are little things that I wanted to talk about on this on the EC2 console, but we'll talk about that. So I'm going to select a name for my EC2 instance. I'm going to select the name for my EC2 instance. On this EC2, I'm just going to put my EC2. Okay, and here the application or the operating system that you want to use, application and operating system that you want to use. We talk the mostly about the Amazon machine image. What is the kind of machine or operating system you want to use? Is it Linux? You have Amazon Linux. You also have Ubuntu. You have Windows, Mac, uh, Red Hat, and so on and so forth. So from here you can choose the machine you want to use. But Amazon Linux is free tier, so I will just go with the free tier. You can also select the volume you want to use. I'll select the default free tier volume, which is cheap and affordable. Architecture 64 bits. Now the instance type, in this instance type is going to mostly be, it's like the capacity of your machine, right? When you want to buy a computer, you say what are the specifics of my computer. You have this gig RAM, the processor is this, the CPU is this. So yeah, on instance type is actually what tells you how the capacity, how powerful or how weak your machine is. It's mostly about the memory, RAM memory, the CPU, and so on and so forth. And you realize that inside here, if I click on if I click here to select maybe machine capacity, the instance type, you see that there are so many different instance type here. You have the T1 micro, the T2 micro, the T2 nano, and I don't know how AWS is doing this, their naming, but if you look at here, you see that T2 micro is about 1 vCPU and then 1 gig of memory. This is the RAM. Now if you look at C5DX/. You see, I has 4 vCPU and 8 gig RAM and some other stuff. So if you are running a high capacity software, or maybe you are running some kind of a heavy load or application, or you are doing some kind of data manipulation, you could launch a larger instance. Okay, you could launch a larger instance type. Also, especially these guys that are doing Bitcoin mining, but these are not free. Okay, this is, you will see, this is 64 gig RAM. So these are heavy machines, but we'll continue with the free tier one. This one is just okay. This one is just fine. And keeper, the keeper is simply the key that you are going to use to log into your machine, or to SSH into your machine using a an SSH client. So you can use an SSH client like how do they call this SSH client again? Putty. I think Putty is the most used SSH client on Windows right now. Yeah, so you can use an SSH client like Putty with this key. With this keeper you create here, or probably I already have a couple of keepers I created in my AWS account, so I'm just going to go ahead and use this keeper. But if you don't have a keeper, you can come to create keeper. You click on create keeper, you give your keeper name. I'll just write maybe new. Okay, you can select a .pem key or a .ppk. Now it's good to select .pem key if you are using OpenSSH, or a .ppk if you are using Putty, but it does not really mean that if you select .pem key you cannot use it later in Putty, because I think you have Putty gen, right? You can use Putty gen and convert pem keys to .ppk keys. Okay, I'm not going to create. If you just click create key, you download the key and keep on your machine. Make sure you keep the key safe, and it should be only accessible by you, because if you don't have that key again, you've been able to SSH into the EC2 instance using an SSH client. So okay, we are going to move forward. I'm just going to select the key that I already have here. I'm going to select the dummy key or my EC2 key, whatever. I have all those keys here. So networking. Now the network, I'm going to select the default VPC. Let me just click on edit. We can just leave it like that, but I'll click on edit just so that you see. I have just one VPC in my account, which is the default VPC. When you create your AWS account, AWS offers a default VPC attached to an internet gateway, which has access to internet to give internet to your resources or some kind of resources that you launch. So by default, it's there unless you delete it. So I'm just going to use my default VPC and any default subnet, but I'm just going to use, like, I want to take US is 1A. So I'll look for US is 1A. Okay, and then I'm going to leave auto assign public IP address to enable. This is because I want to do some updates. I want to have internet access. Since I don't have a NAT gateway, we'll talk about that. That's another thing. But I just wanted to have a public IP address so I can easily do stuff, update it, do some stuff that, yeah. Just so that it should be fast, and I can also easily connect to the EC2 instance using EC2 Connect from my browser. If you can't do that if you don't have a public IP. So I will go to the next one. You have a security group. The security group, this is a firewall that you have to place in front of your resources in a VPC. So the security group is like protecting just directly in front of your EC2 instances. So I'm just going to leave it to create security group. If I click select security group, I'm supposed to select one of the security groups that are already inside my account, but I will not do that for now. I will just click create security group, leave AWS, create a new security group for this particular instance that I'm launching. And if you look at the inbound host of the security group that AWS will be creating, they are leaving SSH TCP protocol in port 22 everywhere. That's 0000. So this simply means that what? It simply means that we are leaving SSH through port 22. So SSH, the main port for SSH is port 22. From everywhere. So we could restrict that. I could restrict this from my IP address, or I could restrict this to access this particular EC2 instance from a different or a custom IP address, but I'll just leave from everywhere just to make things simple and fast. I'm going to go ahead. You can add a security group if you wish, but I will leave it like that. You can configure storage. Storage is okay like that. I think 8 GB of storage is good. There are some other details. Let's look at this. There's one thing I want to touch here, but these other ones you can just forget about it. It's not necessary. You can just leave it as default. But there's one thing I want to talk about here, but I'm not going to change that. I'll just talk about it. This user data is very important, especially when you are launching an instance and you immediately want to run some commands, maybe download some dependencies, install some softwares, configure something. So you can write like a script or a shell script here in such a way that when you launch your instance, immediately as the instance starts running, these commands are going to be run. And maybe you download some, update the instance, download some software. Just imagine, maybe okay, the EC2 instance is supposed to be serving a web server, or it's supposed to be running an application, a React application or a front-end application. Now, if you are supposed to be running this instance, once you launch the instance, you make sure you have to download some software, like maybe download React, download some other dependencies, download some packages and install them. If not, that application is not going to run. So yeah, this is important. This is very important, especially when you have to install some third-party software, especially when you have to do some automation. So you just take note of that, but you can leave it like that. This is not necessary for this particular exercise that we're doing. um this is just a summary of everything we created. You can go through it and verify if that's actually what you wanted. And I'm going to click on create instance, launch instance. So this is going to take a couple of seconds to launch the instance. So yes, our instance is launched successfully, and I can move to the instance right from here. This is the instance ID, or I'll just move to instances so that you see the new instances that are there. So if I refresh my console, you see my EC2. This is the instance I just created. While it is still in pending, we'll just go around and walk through this particular the EC2 console. So we'll see some things that are actually here. Yes. Okay. First of all, let's look at this. When you have an EC2 instance, there are some actions you can take. If I click on this here, if I click on this EC2 instance, there are some actions you can take. First, you can stop the instance. Stopping the instance simply means offing the machine. You know, when you have your computer, you go to power and then you click off or shut down. That's the meaning of stopping the instance, which means that the resources are going to be there, but you can come and on it and continue from where you started the last time. Reboot the instance is like to restart the machine. Terminate the instance is like to destroy the machine, throw it away, burn it, destroy it. Okay, so it means that whatever is inside there, you won't be able to have access to that again. Then there are some actions we can take here. We can connect to the instance, we can view the detail of our instance, we can manage the state of our instance, and you can change some settings of our instance. We can look at some configuration, network configurations, change some network configuration, some security, image and templates. Now this image and template is so look at it this way. We use an Amazon machine image to create this particular instance. Okay, Amazon EC2 machine image to create this particular instance. Now imagine you have your computer and you have some videos and some pictures and some documentations and files inside, and you want to create another computer that has the same configuration, the same files, the same videos as the computer that you have at hand right now. So Amazon gives you this possibility to create machine images and templates of the instances that you already have in such a way that we can use those machine images and launch different images, different machines that are going to be exactly or identical to the machines that we have. So I can create a machine image from this particular machine, and tomorrow and launch 10,000 machines that are the same and have the same files and documents as this particular machine. So yeah, that's how easy it can be, and that's how fast it can be. You can also, if you scroll down here, you are going to see some additional information about this particular instance. So if I click on this, so here you find information on network security, tax monitoring, login, and all those details. You find them down here. Let me just try and take this thing up. So if you look at here, you have the instance ID. It's like a unique ID you give to an EC2 instance. So every EC2 instance, then you have the public IP address. You can use this. Maybe you use this to browse the internet. You can use this to connect to the EC2 instance. You have the public IPv4 DNS address. You have the private IPv4 address. You have also the private IPv4 DNS address. So all of these are information about this particular instance that is running. The instance type is T2 micro. So if you launch an instance and you need you need information about the instance, you can just come down here. Okay, you come down here, you will get all the information. All the information about this instance, you get it here. All the information about this instance, you get it from down here. So the launch time, the location, life cycle method, the key pair that I used, all of that, you find it inside here. Okay, so you can also look at the security. Look at the security group that was allocated. If you scroll down, you see this is the security group that was allocated to it. You have the rules, the inbound rules. The inbound rules are like, okay, what are those things that can enter or come into connect to my EC2 machine? So those are what they mean inbound rules. But this is not security best practices. We are not supposed to be leaving inbound access from everywhere, but this is just for demonstration. And the outbound rules is like where can resources inside this instance go to. So this is just to say that all ports inside this particular instance can go anywhere or to any destination. Okay, yeah. So um what else can I even talk about? Yeah, you have let me come back up here. I was talking about security. Yes, you have the networking. I don't know why this dashboard is not scrolling up. I wanted this to show very well. Let me see if I can put this at the side so that it should be easily visible. Let me put it this way. Let's see. Okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think this is better, right? I'll put it at the side like this. So um we can look at the security here, networking, the IP addresses, the subnet, the VPC, and the rest. The availability zone. So yeah, you can look at the story. So yeah, that was it. So what I want us to do now is to connect to this instance and do some stuff. So I'm going to click on connect to EC2 instance. I'm going to click on connect instance. Then I'm going to use EC2 instance connect. Now this is just a fast and quick way that AWS gives you to launch into your EC2 instance directly from your browser. If you have a public IP address, that is the reason why I use the public IP address in the first place. If you don't have a public IP address, then you won't be able to use EC2 direct connect. Though you can also use the session manager if you have configured session manager with your EC2 in your account. You can also use an SSH client like Putty. You can use an SSH client with the keys that with the SSH keys that you created and connect to your EC2 instance from your local machine, or you can use an EC2 serial console. So we are going to use EC2 instance connect. I'm going to click on connect, and AWS is going to open me a window in my browser directly to the CLI of my machine. Okay, and if you see, it is trying to establish a connection from my browser to my EC2 instance or to my machine. So you see I am connected directly now to my machine. So there are two packages that need security or some stuff, but I will just do this by running update. So I will say if I run sudo yum update, it's going to update the machine for security and other packages. Let me increase this so that you see what's happening on the screen. Okay, So this is my, I'm actually connected to my EC2 instance. I'm inside the machine. Now I'm going to run sudo yum update to update the machine. Now when the machine, I'll continue by typing y. Now when the machine updates completely, we are going to look at the user that we are using, navigate to that folder, navigate to the home folder, and see the different things that are there. You see how maybe Linux is structured, the way they structure the files, but that's not actually our goal. Our goal for this particular course is done launching an EC2 instance. So by the end of this simple walkthrough, we should be able to terminate this instance. So okay, the machine has completed update. I'm going to clear, and if you look at, I'm logged in as EC2 user, so I'm in the user folder as EC2. So I want us to navigate to I'm going to navigate to the root directory of this computer, and I type ls. You see there are so many different directories there, right? The temporary directory, bin, root, dev, etc, home. I'm going to enter home, cd home, ls. You see now that the only user that is there is the EC2 user. I could create another user. Let me just create another user. I'm going to create another user called my name. I don't know what I give. Maybe I'm going to, they say permission denied. Okay, permission denied. Anyway, I'm going to use so this permission denied is probably having some permission issues. I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to run this command as the administrator. So I'm going to use sudo okay, so it probably created that user, and if I ls, you see I have two users now. I have Clinton and EC2. So these are just like directories or folders inside the computer which you can use and do things. So I'm going to enter into Clinton because that's my folder that I'm using, or EC2 user, anyone, you could use anyone. So I'm going to start working inside this computer as Clinton. Sorry, I'm typo. I have a bad, that's poor that's typing error. cd, how could I not type my name well? This is not possible. Okay, so I'm actually into Clinton directory. If I do ls, you won't see anything there is empty because we don't have any folder. So I can say maybe I want to create a videos directory where I want to upload my videos. Okay, permission denied. Great, same thing, just forgot videos ls. So I can upload some videos here, some files. You just make file. I can create a folder. Also, I can also create a file. So inside these videos, I don't know why I'm even let me create a new file inside here. Anyway, I'll create a new file and write something to that file. Okay, um let's just say I'm going to create a file. So let's say cat, let me use sudo so that it should not give me permission error. So cat new file, right? I'll make it a text file. What do you say? No such file order. Which anyway, let me use touch. I'll use touch sudo touch new file. I'm going to make it a text file. Okay, ls. So I have a file here. We have videos, which is a directory that we just created, and then we have a file that we just created inside this machine. I think that file is new text. So I'm going to read it. Okay, you see it should be empty because there is nothing inside there. It's definitely empty. Okay, now I'm going to update it, write something inside, and then read it again. So I'm going to try to write to the file, update the file using nano. I should nano this particular file. Now inside here there is nothing in my file. I'm just going to say, hi, my name is Clinton. Jesus Christ of Nazareth. What's wrong with this my computer? I'm the one that is spelling badly. Hi, my name is Clinton and I love programming. Okay, so I will save that by hitting Control O, and then I'm going to go out of the file by hitting Control X, and then I'm going to clear my console again, and I'm going to read that file back. So this is the file. I'm reading the file, what I just want to read. You can update it, delete it, change it, do whatever you want to do. Okay, I'm going to, our little tutorial is okay for today, is finished, is over. So what we are going to do now, I'm going to come out of this EC2 instance. I'm going to come out of this EC2 instance, and I'm going to terminate this instance. You can off, what you can do, you can also stop the instance. You can come to instance state and stop the instance to come back and continue to move, so that it should not incur you charges. Or I don't think I need this, so I'm going to terminate the instance. Okay, it's going to ask me terminate instance. Are you sure you want to terminate instance? When you do this, you won't be able to get all the things that you had inside there. So I'm going to say, see, look at, if you just have a read on this, you say, on an EBS backed instance, the default action is for the root EBS volume to be deleted. When the instance is terminated, storage on any local drive will be lost. So it's trying to inform me that if I delete this thing or if I terminate this thing, I won't be able to have access to this again, or my resources that I had inside this particular instance. And I'm going to click terminate. Okay, so if I go back to my EC2 instances, let me remove this. You see shutting down. So at the end of the day, this will go off my console. I won't be there to be waiting to see how that is going off. But that's it. I'm happy you were there to follow this video. Thank you for watching the video, and hopefully it helps and add some value also. Thank you.